Now let us try to understand complete about bond price, bond yield. I know many students are confusing related with this topic, and in extension to this, on top of understanding bond price, bond yield, we will also understanding the relationship with respect to inflation, economic growth, and what is yield curve. So first, what is bond price and bond yield? So before understanding it, we need to know one thing. So in many times we will be seeing with respect to interest rate. If interest rate is increasing, bond price is increasing, or bond yield is decreasing, something like that we'll be talking. So what is interest rate first of all? Which interest rate we are talking? Always the interest rate which we are talking is with respect to banks. It is not the interest rate of bond price. So firstly, what is a bond? Simply a bond will have some face value in it, and it will say that some interest will be there. So for example, face value is some, let's say 100 rupees, interest will be say that's 1 rupee, and maturity is, let's say, 1 year. Example, I'm talking let's say it is an example. So finally, what will be the bond price which you will be getting is what is 1%, 101 rupees. So if interest is 1%, example I'm talking. So if let's say interest is 10%. If interest is 10%, then it will be 110 rupees. After one year, you will be receiving this 110 rupees. So this is simply the bond, fundamentals of bond. So bond price. This is called as a bond price. 110 rupees is called as a bond price. So the bond price, how we can define it? Simply the bond price is the price which we will be receiving after the maturity period on top of face value. So okay, now understand about the interest rate. So interest rate is not the interest rate which we are talking on bond. It is the interest rate with respect to banks, which will be decided as a part of monetary policy by monetary policy committee. Okay, this is interest rate. So let's say whenever there is an interest rate is increased. Simply write this. Okay, whenever interest rate is increased, let's say. So what does interest rate increases mean? So interest rate of cash is increased. For example, if uh, I am depositing, if interest rate is increased, means let's say earlier it is 7%. Now it is like 12%. So interest rate is increased. So earlier on 100 rupees I am getting 107 rupees. Now I am getting 112 rupees. So I will try to go here only. So here the interest rate is 10. In bond we are getting interest rate at just only 10. Now here we are getting it is 12%. So I will go and invest in bank because it is giving more interest rate than compared to bond. So okay, if interest rate is increased, fine. Then I will go and invest in bank rather than on bond because 12% interest rate we are getting on getting from the bank is more than 10% interest rate getting from the bond. Okay, I invested in bond. So then what happened? Then so the same is a thought with many people. So definitely the money people invest on bond decreases. What does it mean? Then it means bond price will be increasing. Okay, so interest rate, whenever interest rate is increasing, bond price is decreasing. So what does it mean by decreasing the bond price? So let's say if so 100 is the face value and 110 rupees is the final bond. The maximum bond price it is possible. So 100. So for example, there is a person one. So who will be selling to other person at, okay, if the person one bought this, he will be selling to person two at 101 rupees. So he will gain 1 rupee. So that's why he is selling to person two. Now similarly, person two will be selling it to person three at 102. Let's say it can be any amount for example. So this is the bond. Now the current bond price is 102. Current bond price is. So like this it will be there. So whenever this happens, this trading happens only when there is a demand for this bond. So bond demand is there. So when we will be having bond demand when it is providing a good interest rate. Whenever that bond is providing a good interest rate, then the bond demand will be more. So here see. So if interest rate on the banks is more, then definitely bond demand will be less, right? Bond demand is less. So whenever the bond demand is less, the bond price will be less because the number of people interested in buying this bond will be less. So bond price is less. Next, obviously, if bond price is less, next bond yield will be more. So let's understand what is this bond yield. So bond price, bond yield. So bond yield, what we can say simply this difference. By simple nomenclature, we can understand the difference. So if there is no much demand, so now the current bond price will be 102. It means bond yield is almost example and 10. So let's say the difference between 110 and 102 is 8. This is bond yield. If there is a huge demand for the bond because the interest rate is like 15 percentage or and other in other case less interest rate of the given by the banks is less, whereas compared to the bond rate bond interest rate, so then there will be a huge demand for the bonds, then it will be selling like 102, 103, and so on. Let's say if it goes up to let's say 109, if it goes up to 109, means it means bond price is good, bond price is more, but bond yield is less. Here, what is bond yield? Because it is just one. Because 110 minus 109 is only simply one. So bond yield is decreasing. So this is how the relationship between bond price and bond yield will be. So we can say the relationship is in this way. Bond price is inversely proportional to bond yield. So simply understanding, we can write this way. So once let's revise what we taught. So whenever interest rate is increasing, so interest rate is not interest rate of the bond here. Interest rate always, whenever we use the word interest rate, is with respect to banks. Always it is with respect to bank interest rate. So if interest rates of the banks means I am getting more money when I deposited money in the bank because I am getting more interest rate. So then bond demand will be less. Demand for the bond will be less. Whenever the demand for the bond is less, then the bond price will be less. Whenever the bond price will be less, there will be a huge difference between the like maturity amount and the current bond price. So bond price will be more. So because the difference is more, because the difference is more. Difference is more. Similarly, whenever the interest rate is low, so if the bank is giving less interest rate, if let's say a bank is giving just like just 5% interest rate, whereas bond is giving 10% interest rate, so I will definitely go and invest in bond. So whenever the interest rate is less, the bond demand for the bond will be increasing. So whenever the demand for bond increasing, bond price will be automatically increasing. Means from 101 to almost it may reach up to 109. Obviously, it will not reach 110 because no one will be getting benefited if one buys at 110 because the final amount which by selling that bond he receives is only 110. So let's say up to 109. So bond prices go on increasing. So it means bond yield is less. Bond yield is just 1 rupee here. In earlier situation here, let's say it sells up to 102 because there is no much demand, so it is only 102. So there is a up to 110. So on maturity you will be getting 110. So what is the bond yield? So bond yield you will be get is almost 8 rupees. Here it is just 1 rupee. So bond yield is less. So now we have understand the relationship between interest rate. If interest rate is increasing, bond price is increasing, and it is inversely proportional to bond yield. So this is simply the relationship. Okay, this is fine. So now we have understand what is bond price, what is bond yield. So now let's understand the relationship of bond price and bond yield with inflation, economic curve, and understand the concept of yield curve. So inflation, economic growth, and what is yield curve. So yield curve, it will be simply of this way. Bond yield, YIELD, and let's say this is the maturity time, or time period, you can say, maturity time. So the bond yield, it is the normal situation. This is the normal situation. If it is this way, then it is called as a flat bond yield. If it is this way, it is called inverted bond yield. Inverted bond yield. So this is the graphical representation. We will understand it in little while. What does it mean? So okay, if there is an increase in inflation, now let's talk about this thing. So if there is an increase in inflation, so inflation is increasing. So what does it mean by inflation increasing? Means people has more money. So to control the inflation, for example, in Indian situation, the target we put for the control of inflation is 4 plus or minus 2. Means 2 is the minimum inflation which we can have, or 6 is the maximum inflation which we can maintain. So if it, let's say there is a more inflation, like let's say if it is a 10, so 10% is the inflation, then government what it will try to do, so it will capture the money from the market. So simply inflation means people has more money. So government now want to withdraw the money from the people to the banks. It can be of many ways, like open market operations, like quantitative, we simply call it as contractionary policies. Contractionary policies. What does contractionary policy means? Simply uh, uh, sucking the money from the market, you can say. By if it is by government, then it is called the fiscal contractionary policy. Fiscal contractionary policy. If it is done by the RBI, then it is called simply the monetary contractionary policy. Monetary contractionary policy. Fiscal means anything related to government. So, for example, to suck the more money from the market. So, let's say if government is increasing tax, then it is called the fiscal contractionary policy. So, if interest rates is decreasing, so if interest rate is increasing, then which is done by the RBI, then it is called monetary contractionary policy. If it is done by RBI, then it is called monetary contractionary policy. If it is done by government, it is called fiscal contractionary policy. So, okay, whatever it might be, contraction policy means simply sucking the money from the government so that the inflation will be under control. People will not have more money, so that it will not cause any chaos. So, okay, if inflation is high, then government will follow the contractionary policy. Okay, okay, this is fine. This we have understood. Okay, if contractionary policy is followed, then then money should be sucked in from the market. Now, what the government or the RBI will do. So interest rate, for example, if it is increased, if interest rate is increased, what does it mean by interest rate is increased? Whenever interest rate is increased, people will try to put it in the banks. Or whenever the tax is increased, more amount of money uh, will be out from the market, out from the people pocket. So if interest rate is increased, so interest rate is increased means no one will be will be interested to put it in the bonds. So this is the earlier analogy which we are talking about. So whenever interest rate is increasing, so see what we have discussed. So whenever interest rate is increasing, bond price is increasing and bond yield is decreasing. Bond price is increasing, it leads to bond yield is decreasing. So we can simply say this way. So whenever there is an increase in inflation, this leads to bond price increase. This leads to bond price decrease. Okay, this is the thing. Similarly, whenever inflation is less, so if there is inflation is less, now the government want to put money in people's hands, and then it will follow expansionary monetary policy. Expansionary policy. It can be of both fiscal nature, monetary nature. Fiscal means if it is done by government, like decreasing the tax so that people can have more money with them, and monetary policy, like decreasing the interest rates. Whenever the interest rate is decreasing, so interest rate decrease. If the interest rate is decrease means uh, people will get more money. People will be interested to take the loans from the bank. So people will have more money in their pocket. More money is present or being in circulation in the market. So if interest rate is less, then it means bond price is less. It means bond yield is more. So simply it is almost converse of earlier scenario. Okay, now we understand the relationship of inflation, bond price, bond yield. Okay. Okay, now we'll understand the bond price, bond yield with respect to economic growth. So, so just brainstorm yourself that if economic growth is less, then bond price is more or bond price is less. So we need to understand it. Okay, let's continue. So if economic growth is decreasing, so means there is for simply economic growth is decreasing means GDP is decreasing. Simply situation of during the COVID time, COVID years you can say. So if GDP is decreasing, so just if you remember the news which is present all over the nation at that time is many people are investing in long-term bonds. So many people are investing in long-term bonds and short-term bonds is less, more investing in long-term bonds. So this is the more news which happened. So why the people are more interested to invest in long-term bonds rather than short-term bonds? So if GDP is decreasing, means there is no much development happening with respect to government as well as people. So it's a symbiotic. There is no money situation, but government want to raise money. As currently there is no money with the people, it is not having government is not getting any revenue to its pocket. So it needs to raise money. So simply it will be releasing the bonds. So generally bonds everyone know it will be of two types, long term bonds and short term bonds. Means it will be having a long maturity period. Means it is like let's say 10 years is the maturity period. These will have short maturity period like less than 1 year. So if yeah, so if so as GDP is less, so long-term bonds were issued by the government along with the short-term bonds. But the long-term bonds is more attractive towards the investors. It is because if there is a slowdown situation, economic growth means there is a slowdown. So it means nothing but future is unpredictable. So future is volatile. Future is volatile. So as future is volatile, if it is a short term, so if it is a short term, then it is seen as risky to the investor who is purchasing the bond. So he tries to put his money in the long term because so whatever it might be. So even if he is getting a low interest rate in the long term because of the unsustainable situation which is present in the economy because of the slowdown reason or recession reason or whatever it might be the case. So he wants to take the less risk. So he will be definitely trying to invest in the long term bonds. So what does it mean now? Whenever there is a slowdown, long term bonds there will be a demand will be more. So whenever there is a demand is more, so this is the situation which we already talked earlier. Whenever the bond demand is more, bond price will be more. This means bond price is less. Bond price will be decreasing. So this is the situation which will be happening mostly in the case of slowdown. So now earlier we were talking about the, what do you mean by bond yield? So sorry, yield graph. So we have told right, it is inverted. Inverted will be in this form. This is the maturity time period. This is the bond yield. This is called as a flat yield curve, yield graph or yield curve. This is normal yield curve. This is inverted yield curve. Means bond yield will be decreasing. This is bond yield. Bond yield will be decreasing. So see, this is the situation which we can be converted to the inverted. So whenever there is a slowdown, so bond yield will be decreasing. It is known as inverted yield graph or yield curve. Simply in MCQs with slowdown in the economy, there will be a inverted yield curve. It is true then. So I think that's it. So I think if so similarly with respect to flat, what does the flat yield curve means? Whenever the economy is in the stable situation, there is no much improvement or much decrement or the investors are not in any clear stand to take which steps. So mostly it will be bond yield will be normal flat situation. So then normal bond curve situation is completely opposite to the situation of slowdown condition. So this is all about the bond price, what is bond yield, what is yield curve, what is this relationship with inflation, what is this relationship with the slowdown in the economy or less GDP. Yeah. So knowing these things would be suffice to solve any question on bond price bond yield. Thank you.